Bitcoin's mining difficulty jumps 3.44% higher, reaching another lifetime high. Fidelity discusses Bitcoin as portfolio insurance, could soon stand in stark contrast to path fiat currencies take. SBF addresses backlash, revises his crypto standards proposal. Welcome to Peer-to-Peer Tech, let's get started. Bitcoin's mining difficulty adjusts upwards by 3.44%, now at 36.84 trillion. The mining difficulty for Bitcoin increased over the weekend by 3.44% compared to the level miners faced over the previous 2 weeks or the previous 2016 blocks. Following the 3.44% shift on Sunday evening, the network's difficulty has increased to a career high of 36.84 trillion. The boost on Sunday comes after a 13.5% increase in Bitcoin's difficulty that was noted at block height 758,016 on October 10, 2022. The greatest Bitcoin difficulty jump of 13.55% in 2022 occurred on October 11, 2022, at block height 758,138, just before the overall hash rate of BTC reached an all-time high. The network's hash rate peaked on October 11 at 325.11 exahashes per second, or 325.11 quintillion 110 quadrillion hashes per second. According to a report from Bitcoin.com News on October 21, the network's hash rate has been unaffected by the lifetime high of the difficulty and the decreased BTC prices because Bitcoin's computing strength is still unmatched. BTC's hash rate is currently cruising along at 260 to 275 exahashes per second. Due to the 2016 blocks being mined more quickly than the 2-week average, the difficulty rose on Sunday. On Sunday, October 23, 2022, at 5 p.m., BTC's block time average was approximately 8.79 minutes. Block intervals ranged from 8:30 to 9:35 minutes, according to the October 21 mining update that shows the network's hash rate strength. Block intervals are attempted to be maintained at an average pace of 10 minutes per block by Satoshi's difficulty retargets. The difficulty will increase if the gap of 2016 blocks between difficulty retargets is smaller than the 2-week average, and it will decrease if it takes too long, more than 2 weeks, to mine those 2016 blocks. Foundry USA, Antpool, and F2 Pool, the top 3 Bitcoin mining pools, currently control 60.36% of the world's hash rate on Sunday. 444 BTC blocks were created during the course of the previous 3 days, and Foundry found 113 of those blocks. Of the 444 blocks discovered, Antpool found 90 and F2 Pool found 65. In addition to the SHA-256 hash rate that 12 rec, the current USD value of a block subsidy is $122,250, and the following anticipated mining difficulty retarget is scheduled to occur on or around November 6, 2022. The second block subsidy halving is anticipated to take place between February 24, 2024 and April 20, 2024, leaving about 79,900 blocks available. The current USD value of a block subsidy is $122,250, and the following anticipated mining difficulty retarget is scheduled to occur on or around November 6, 2022. The second block subsidy halving is anticipated to take place between February 24, 2024 and April 20, 2024, leaving about 79,900 blocks available. Fidelity says Bitcoin could be portfolio insurance. The rising dollar in Bitcoin was the topic of a research study that was recently released by Fidelity Digital Assets, a division of Fidelity Investments. The study explains, quote, how Bitcoin could be considered portfolio insurance in light of how the strengthening dollar affects foreign exchange markets worldwide. End quote. According to Fidelity, quote, the stronger U.S. currency is causing mayhem among other nations and may put pressure on the Federal Reserve to soon reverse its tightening monetary operations, something that has precedent based on the 1985 Plaza Accord. End quote. The report adds that, quote, recent events in the United Kingdom have shown counterparty and liability risks in the system, making monetary intervention and doses of liquidity features that are not likely to go away anytime soon, end quote, and that, quote, more monetary debasement may be needed to alleviate the high debt load among developed economies. End quote. The firm stated that, comparatively, Bitcoin remains one of the few assets that does not correspond to another person's liability, has no counterparty risk, and has a supply schedule that cannot be changed. Quote, therefore, Bitcoin may soon stand in stark contrast to the path that the rest of the world and fiat currencies may take, namely the path of increased supply, additional currency creation, and central bank balance sheet expansion, end quote, Fidelity clarified. quote, while the US dollar remains very strong relative to other fiat currencies, the reality of the US financial system is that it is in a similar position as the UK in the long run, end quote, Fidelity asserted, elaborating, quote, with the high debt-to-GDP ratio, it is unlikely to be equipped to handle higher real interest rates for a sustained period of time if the country aims to fulfill its current debt obligations, end quote. The number of crypto services offered by Fidelity Digital Assets has increased. On October 28, the company will begin providing Ether trading and custody. In response to client demand for exposure to digital assets other than Bitcoin, it also recently announced the establishment of an Ethereum index fund. Sam Bankman-Fried addresses backlash, revises his crypto standards proposal. After his proposal for a regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies caused a stir earlier this week, Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder and CEO of the cryptocurrency exchange FTX, took to Twitter to try to calm the situation. The well-known crypto billionaire responded to some of the issues raised by members of the community with the blog post he uploaded on Wednesday and a lengthy Twitter conversation he posted on Saturday. The idea was labeled as a step backwards by one Twitter user, who even stated that SBF's objectives are not aligned with those of most of the early users of cryptocurrency. Quote, thanks to everyone who gave constructive feedback, comments, and criticism. I've revised my posts some already and will continue to do so, he wrote. Thanks particularly to everyone who highlighted the core of crypto, economic freedom. The freedom to own your own assets, to own your own data, to build your own programs. End quote. The backlash demonstrates a disagreement within the cryptocurrency community about the direction the budding sector should take. Any rules put in place by the US will have a significant impact, either encouraging widespread adoption or undermining some of the tenets that gave rise to cryptocurrencies in the first place, such decentralization and censorship resistance. FTX CEO had earlier stated that both centralized and decentralized systems should follow OFAC's sanctions lists in an ideal and rational world. Eric Voorhees, the founder of Shapeshift, was thanked for his comments, which constituted one of the more forceful criticisms of Bankman idea. Fried's accusing the CEO of exalting the U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control, Voorhees. Quote, you can advocate effective altruism, or you can advocate banning 80 million innocent Iranians from the future of global finance, end quote, Voorhees tweeted. Quote, you can't do both, end quote. In a lengthy blog post analyzing Bankman plan, Fried's Voorhees said there should be a distinction between blacklists that can help prevent fraud and theft and those that are merely there to increase profits. Quote, imposed coercively on all market actors, end quote. Quote, I have sympathy for innocent people caught in broader blocks, end quote, Bankman-Fried responded. Quote, that's a policy conversation worth having, end quote. Voorhees also took issue with the proposal to govern decentralized protocols under the Bank Secrecy Act. He wrote, quote, Sam's suggestions regarding DeFi are the most problematic part of his blog, end quote. Voorhees claimed that SBF recommended that websites that permit users to see, read, and write to a DeFi smart contract should be required to acquire a license, which would limit hobbyists and enthusiasts' ability to experiment and develop new projects. Only well-funded businesses would be able to create financial software if there was a license requirement or compliance program. The annual cost of compliance, according to Voorhees, is in the six figures. SBF had mentioned at the beginning that DeFi regulation is one of the most difficult topics to do correctly. He addressed his initial blog post in his update and made an effort to make a stronger connection to DeFi. Quote, it is not making claims about what DeFi devs, smart contracts, and validators must do, SBF wrote. It's looking to eventually establish guidelines about how, for example, FTX's platform or Fidelity's could interface with DeFi contracts. End quote. Brian Sean Adams, a cryptocurrency investor who gave scathing criticism on Wednesday, was another name referenced in the SBF discussion. According to Adams, it is not realistic to demand that DeFi adhere to OFAC regulations while also requiring the front end of DeFi initiatives to register as broker-dealers. Adams also objected to the normalization of asset freezes. Quote, this absolutely sucks, Adams said. This would eliminate the U.S. from the crypto race, end quote. SBF stated that it is committed to starting a conversation about regulation and hearing what others have to say about how a regulatory framework affects their lives. Quote, I totally understand that lots of people will disagree with me on various points, he said. That's great, it means I have people to learn from, end quote. The last post in his thread featured a video from a BitBoy crypto livestream in which Ben Armstrong spoke passionately about the conflict between suits and so-called regular people over how the cryptocurrency sector will be regulated in the future. Quote, it's a huge honor to see the passion and intensity with which BitBoy regards me, SBF stated. Maybe someday I'll feel as strongly about something as he does about me, end quote. The crypto space takes no prisoners. Peer-to-peer tech, signing out. Cheers.